Welcome to another episode of the Talk BGKY podcast, the official podcast for the city of Bowling Green. Excited to have a really fun episode focused on the Parks and Recreation world. Once again, one of our favorite things to talk about within the world of Parks and Rec is play. And one of the best places to play is, of course, on the mini playgrounds that we have here in our community. So really fun episode today. We're going to be talking playgrounds. We're going to be talking how those projects come to life, you know, the conversations that we have behind the scenes in our department about the next playgrounds that are coming to Bowling Green and Warren County. And we're also going to talk a little bit about playground safety. You're going to learn a little bit about what goes into ensuring our playgrounds and the structures and opportunities for play that we have here in our community, how we ensure that those are always safe and able to be enjoyed by everybody. So have a great guest with me today. I'll let him introduce himself. Tim Kickert from our Parks and Recreation Department. Tim, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, very excited to have you join us. Tim has been with our department for many years, so I'll let him kind of run down, you know, what your career in the field of Parks and Recreation has looked like.
Sure. 18 years, and I've got a beautiful wife and an 8, a 9, and an 11-year-old boy.
Awesome.
And this kind of is up your alley here, Cameron, but we had a birthday party this weekend for my 11-year-old who turns 12 later in August. But we went to Venture River.
Oh, there we go.
Have you been to Venture River
I
in
have
Eddyville?
not, but I've heard of it.
The water
nice
park.
Water park?
It was very good, very
I love
nice.
it.
Clean, beautiful, fun time. We hadn't been there before and had a blast. So
Awesome.
Something you need to check out sometime for sure.
I need to go there for some inspiration.
They had about a 4-story tube slide that dropped straight down, and it took me about 2 hours to build up the excitement to go up and actually do it. And
I love it.
pretty much screamed the whole way down, but
I love it.
Not exactly playgrounds, but still play for sure. So.
Absolutely. Well, and that's a common theme that we're going to talk about. You know, you guys can take heart here in the community that your Parks and Rec professionals also enjoy recreation and parks and water parks and all the things that you do. So
For sure.
Sounds like 4-story drop slide sounds like a great addition to the Russell Sims Aquatic Center. So we might have to add that as a CIP.
There you go.
That sounds good.
Yeah, it started off actually in hospitality management.
Okay.
Which was kind of a service industry thing, and that's kind of what I felt I wanted to be in. And I remember a teacher one time saying, the only reason we're hospitable to people is to make money. And literally that was the last class I ever took in hospitality management. Got into recreation, where it truly is about serving people. Had a guy in a class who was working at Bowling Green Parks and Recreation, got into part-time position as a park attendant, and worked my way through some athletic jobs to the athletic facility coordinator, later on the turf manager at Lover's Lane. And probably 2000, I would say 12, the person who was over playground inspections moved on, and we were looking for somebody to do it, and I kind of stepped in and said, hey, that's something I'm interested in.
Sure.
And I think I was going to fill in for like a month or a week or whatever, and it's been 12 years of doing playground inspections.
That's
But
awesome.
it's one of my favorite parts of my job for sure.
That's awesome. So you're out at Lover's Lane currently.
Yes.
So, you know, obviously everybody's familiar with Lover's Lane Soccer Complex and, you know, everything that we offer out there, the loops at Lover's Lane, you know, the playground, the little outdoor fitness court that's now out there. What is your daily job like out at Lover's Lane and Preston Miller, of course, because you also help take care of that?
Yeah, so the job's changed over the past couple of years. Primarily, I was at Lover's Lane.
Sure.
Turf, dealing with the soccer organizations, rentals, etc. There was a point where we built a soccer facility, the Premier Grounds at Preston Miller. And since I had kind of expertise, I guess you'd say, in turf, I took over Preston Miller also. And then this past year, because I had had previous experience on baseball fields and again turf and irrigation and chemicals, took over all the baseball fields, the 11 baseball fields the city maintains, and the sand volleyball courts, the basketball courts, the tennis courts, which I'm an avid tennis player, so
all athletic facilities.
yes, you give me tennis courts, and I'm like, yes, please, more.
I love it.
And playgrounds is like that too for me. I love playgrounds. I love seeing kids play, and I know with us, Cameron, we'll cross paths in the hallway, and it's always about some cool playground we've seen or some cool thing that we think we could add to help kids enjoy our community better.
Absolutely. I do want to touch on, this is a little a little off topic, but I think it's kind of cool because I think it shows the creativity that exists within our department, and I think will help transition well into our conversations about playgrounds. But can you talk a little bit about the grass court project recently? You mentioned you're a tennis guy.
Yes.
Talk to us a little bit about how that came to be, and introduce it to people who are unfamiliar with what we did.
For sure. So tennis is my big passion outside of work. I love tennis. I coach for the South Warren Middle School tennis team. I've done that for 3 years. Actually, when I was at Western, I did an internship with Parks and Rec and taught all the tennis camps. So still a little bit involved with that, with Pete kind of helping his guys know what to do with tennis camps. But the Covington Woods, there is a large grass area, and you have to forgive me for not knowing its initial purpose. It is either a croquet court, or is that right, Cameron?
Yeah, or bocce maybe?
Or a bocce ball court.
Yeah,
so
one of the two.
We're going to have to go back into the history books here at the City Hall and try to figure out what it actually was. But it is leveled, great Bermuda grass that the golf course at Covington Woods mows with their greens mowers. So super nice.
Looks like a putting green.
Looks like a putting green. It's level. There is a group, some fitness groups that use it for just fitness things, some other small activities. But I guess probably 3 years ago, me and a friend went by and we were like, golly, that's about the size of a tennis court. And then we kind of let it go. And then maybe a month or so later, we're like, hey, let's meet out there with some tennis rackets, no net or anything, and just kind of hit back and forth. And we did. And we were like, it's possible to turn this into a tennis court. And then I guess last year I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm doing it. I'm going to turn this in to a tennis court to kind of replicate a Wimbledon tennis court. And something came up. We had some staff changes. It didn't happen. And this year, early in the year, I was like, this is the year. I'm going to do it.
It's got to happen.
And yeah, so what I did was I went to Soki Tennis. And my idea was I'm going to pitch it to them just as an idea. And if there's interest, we'll run with it. And if there's not interest, then I'm just going to kind of back away and act like I never had the idea. But pitched it to them, and they were just like, this is the best thing we've ever heard. So ultimately, we went out there, did some extra fertility, did some stuff with the weeds. The golf guys helped us level it, put an actual tennis net up. We put fencing around the back, and Soki Tennis came in and made an actual event out of it. So a Wimbledon event, all white affair, white shoes, white shirt. They had all these different snacks and crackers and all kind of things you would have at a Wimbledon event, and it was an absolute blast.
Huge. They had a big response to that too.
Yes.
Big crowd.
Big crowd, and as we were doing it, they were like, can we do this next year? And I was like, absolutely.
Yeah.
From our side of things, it's not that big a deal to throw up a net and fence.
Sure.
If the community is enjoying it, and that's what they did. They loved it. So.
And I think it's cool because, obviously as we transition, back into talking about playgrounds, the reason I, wanted that to be mentioned was us as staff, within the Parks and Rec department, it is very seldom that the things that we do, the things that we offer, the playgrounds that we try to build, the facilities that we try to do, it is very seldom that is not something being thought of because we're thinking from the mindset of, if we're going to offer this to the community, is it something that we would enjoy ourselves? And so that whole idea came out of, Tim's love for tennis, and, he wanted to try to share that with the community, and it was a huge hit. That constant creativity, I think, is a perk of the job. We get to have fun with what we do and try to bring opportunities for people to smile and enjoy recreation and play. So.
I think a big thing with parks, too, is sometimes you just have to throw something out there.
Yeah, sure.
And people love it. And sometimes, to be honest, sometimes they don't. And then you change up and you do something different. And you just got to kind of keep going and try to find the niches and things that people enjoy and provide those to the community.
I love it. Awesome. So let's transition. We mentioned, in you introducing yourself, you mentioned playground safety. So I want to talk a little bit about CPSI. So for those who don't know, the acronym CPSI stands for Certified Playground Safety Inspector. It is a certification that is very robust. There's a lot to it, a lot of training, a lot of learning, obviously assessments that come along with becoming a certified playground safety inspector. So Tim, can you just talk a little bit about the process of, when you became a CPSI and maybe how that kind of, changed the focus of your job a little bit?
Yeah, so CPSI is a 3-year certification. So you do it every 3 years. And you would think like playground safety inspector may not be that tough of certification, but it's very, very intense. I mean, it is 3 days. You start in the morning, go all day long until probably 5 p.m., And then as soon as the training's done, everybody gets together and studies till like 10 p.m. at night. Tons of measurements and numbers and depths on playground mulch.
So, Tim, you mentioned in 2012 the CPSI for the city of Bowling Green moved on to a different position, and that was a role that you absorbed, becoming a certified playground safety inspector. So, explain to the public and the listeners a little bit about the purpose of the CPSI certification program.
Yeah, sure. So the biggest thing with CPSI is to reduce life-threatening and debilitating injuries. That is the number one purpose that we have. It uses different data, the national injury data, lawsuits, that kind of thing, to figure out where the injuries are, what typical injuries are, and then we try to reduce those. The big thing with CPSI is we are not trying to eliminate the potential of any injury. So the way I kind of think about that is if you made a playground that you wanted no injury on, it would be 1 inch from the ground, fully padded, super soft, no issues. The thing with playgrounds is you actually want risk. You want that excitement for a kid to be like, can I make this jump from this pod to the next pod? Can I do this slide? This slide is super. Is there a chance they could skin their knee up on a slide? Potential. We're not trying to stop that, essentially. We're trying to give a safe place where nobody's going to have a serious injury, if that makes sense.
But still develop through play.
Right.
The playground is a place where you learn some of your greatest life lessons, on what it means to overcome a fear. So, yeah, I love the way you put that, because it's not eliminating that, but it's, just trying to do what we can to mitigate certain things, I guess.
I think of Parker Bennett and the rope climber, the triangle rope climber. Have you been to that, obviously?
Yeah, absolutely.
If the first time you see that, you're like, oh, my goodness, this thing is scary.
Yeah.
It is kind of scary, but that is excitement for the kids.
Sure.
So the CPSI has measurements and science that essentially says, hey, if you fall from this height, you're not going to have a serious injury. So the whole thing is designed, that whole structure is designed. Every rope is designed at a distance to where, hey, if I fall from this rope, I'll touch this rope, and then I'll touch this rope, and then I'll touch this rope to a surface that's soft and that will not cause a serious injury.
Sure.
So like on those, some of the measurements you have to know is like 72 inches. There's no point at 72 inches where you would fall further than that without touching a rope. So even though you're 20 feet off the ground, you'll never fall 20 feet to the ground. You'll fall and hit a rope and then hit a rope and then hit a rope and safely, be at the bottom. CPSI combines 3 different things, if I can give a little bit of the boring stuff.
Absolutely.
The boring stuff with you, Cameron. So,
I love it.
ATSM, which is American Society of Testing Materials, CPSC, which is Consumer Product Safety Commission, and you're super familiar with ADA.
Yeah.
So it's the combination of those that give us standards and guidelines that we try to follow to keep everybody safe.
That's awesome.
So, and just to kind of give you a little more detail on some of the things we're looking for, surfacing is a huge one. So, at what height can somebody fall and safely land? How much surfacing, soft fill material does there need to be under that? So every playground is designed for different ages. The heights of the platforms are based on fall heights. Everything from that to equipment, how equipment holds up, how equipment breaks down over time, what we need to check as far as torques on different bolts, fencing, barriers. I mean, it's just a long list of a lot of studying that goes in on the 3-day training to get the CPSI.
Yeah, and I can imagine that as you study through that booklet and all the standards and all the information, that test is pretty daunting, I would imagine.
It is a long test, and I'm not going to say we've had city people not pass it, but we've had city people not pass it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough.
I think that shows the reality of it.
I mean, we have a lot of certifications like that with the city. AFO
sure.
is another one that, I mean, you've got to take it serious. I mean, it's important. AFO is serious with the pool safety. CPSI is serious with playground safety.
No
But
doubt.
one of the things, Cameron, that I think of when I think of CPSI is I go back, and you can probably do the same, go back to a playground you played on when you were a kid. I go back to a 30-foot tall, 3-story spiral slide.
Okay.
I probably shouldn't say where this is at, but I know it's not there anymore. 3-story spiral slide, all metal. The angle of the steps are like between a ladder and steps, right? Just straight up.
Yeah.
On the side, there's no barrier walls. It's just a handrail that's probably 30 inches off the side height. So just an opening under that handrail. So you climb to the top. It's a spiral metal slide that goes down. So if you know anything about playgrounds, metal slide beds, if it's hot, third-degree burns setting
skin.
on them.
Yep.
There's wasps all over the place. You get to the top, you fall off. At the bottom, there's no surfacing material, nothing. It's just grass.
Yeah.
And when I think about that, I think like this is what CPSI is. Like
Sure.
CPSI is how do we not have this crazy dangerous slide that kids could potentially get hurt on, and how do we put a slide where they can get the same amount of adventure and excitement without having danger,
Sure.
for a serious injury. So,
No, that's a really good point. And I think it's a cool perspective, again, for the community to hear that, playground safety is not meant to eliminate fun. And, knowing that we have somebody in our department working for the city who has a goal of making sure that playgrounds are safe, but making sure they are still exciting and adventurous, I think is just a huge benefit that the community should, be really happy to have somebody like you on staff with that mindset. That's awesome. So what does, just walk me through, like, very briefly what an inspection looks like. Let's take a playground, for example. You can set the stage and paint the picture for us on what playground we're going to visit to do an inspection, and just walk me through what that inspection looks like, the certain areas that you're looking at, what you are taking away from that, and if there are any issues, how we address those.
Sure. So to set that up a little bit, we have 2 CPSI inspectors for City of Bowling Green. County Parks also has CPSI inspectors that do their parks. But we have 16 playgrounds in the city, and we have 2 outdoor fitness facilities. Now, that is actually not considered a playground, but we treat them the same. So we use the same standards on playgrounds as we do our outdoor fitness facilities. So we have staff that drive by the playgrounds weekly and see if anything's broken. So that's the number one set of eyes, right?
Sure.
So if you drive by and you see a swing broken, if we find something like that and we get a call, like that's number one. No matter what we're doing, mowing grass, whatever, it stops. We go make that playground safe. Like that is the number one thing. We also count a lot on the people who use the playground. So at each playground, there'll be a phone number, and you can call City Parks if you see something broken. So we count on that to find things. But to kind of go back to your question there, we do monthly inspections on all 16 playgrounds. And I typically do all those. The other inspector typically does a lot of the repairs. So if we're switching out a slide or something, that's definitely not a one-person job. He'll come in and help us do that. So a typical inspection. Let's do a playground, Cameron, to lighten it up a little bit. Which one we going to?
Let's visit Kariakis.
Ooh, Kariakis. So Kariakis, which
One
is
of our busiest parks.
and a newer playground.
Newer playground. Yeah.
And thinking back to like the Risk thing, we've got the super high.
Yep, you can see it from Cemetery Road,
Right.
Fairview.
And I think that was one of our first 3-story playgrounds that we had.
Yeah.
So we'll do Kariakis first. So typically, because of the height, we'll go in and we'll definitely be checking surfacing, right, to make sure the loose fill surface is good enough. So
Because even when you fill the mulch, like it can change over time, right? As
Right.
it disperses. Yeah.
Right, and all playgrounds will get mulch every single winter.
Okay.
So we'll come in the winter and we'll add anywhere between 50 to 100 yards of mulch to every single playground every single year.
Cool.
We go to about 1,000 to 1,100 yards of mulch through the winter months.
Wow.
So as a turf manager, I get the question a lot, what do you do during the winter? Well, 1,100 yards of mulch.
Mulch, yeah.
So if you do mulch at your house and you put like landscape mulch down, you typically put a yard down. We put 1,100 yards down over 16 playgrounds. So
Basically 1,100 front beds.
right,
At a house.
1,100
Like-
front beds. Yeah, surfacing is the biggest thing we look at for one reason. Falls is the number one cause of injury. Like 80% of injuries on a playground are falls, and typically like broken wrist, twisted wrist, skinned knees. That's kind of what most of your injuries are from.
Sure.
So as you use a playground, you kind of you displace the mulch. At the bottom of the slide, it gets pushed out. So it's kind of bringing the mulch back in, making sure you have the correct depth on mulch. The second thing we'll look at is wear. Obvious wear and things that aren't obvious. So if a broken swing, we've got to fix the broken swing. But chains wear down on swings over time. Platforms wear down. Hardware that connects the platforms to the poles wear down. Even things as little as like wasps. Obviously, you don't want a kid climbing a playground and getting stung with wasps. So, like I said, surfacing is huge with Kariakis because the height of it, but we'll also look for, has anything changed that we didn't see the last time? So has a tree grown that's overhanging something that doesn't give us the right clearance? Has somebody came in and literally moved something? Because that kind of thing has happened before. Has somebody cut something? Has somebody spray painted on something? Has somebody jumped on something? Thinking that since we're at Kariakis right now, we're walking around Kariakis, there's a big dinosaur jumper. Somebody decided, an adult, which playgrounds are 5 to 12, that playground is, but somebody decided to jump on the head of the dinosaur and broke the head of the dinosaur off. So that's something that has changed, obviously, since our last inspection.
Yeah.
So it's not just wear and tear, but has anything changed? How is the surfacing? Is everything holding up? Essentially, our training teaches us just to be extremely observant with everything that could potentially cause an injury. And it can be things you don't even think of. Is a bolt sticking out too far? So when a kid walks by, it cuts them.
Sure.
Or hangs on his shirt or hangs on his collar. So it's just that's the stuff we learn in the CPSI training, is to kind of be vigilant, looking for those things. And the best part about the inspections is when you get out there and kids are playing and you get to watch what you're keeping safe in the community.
Absolutely. That's the motivation for our job every day, is getting to see people enjoy the things that we put so much effort and heart into. Yeah, the programs, the facilities, the parks. That is definitely the big return of our work for sure. So Tim, you've broken down what a typical inspection looks like when you're looking at a playground. How long does a typical CPSI inspection take on any given playground? Probably different from playground to playground, but
Yeah, so we talked about mulch, so we're raking the mulch every single time we come. The weekly staff will try to do the same as they come in, but a lot depends on how big the playground is. I would say an hour, 45 minutes to an hour to do it. And some of them are a little quicker. I mean, we have some small playgrounds like Ogden where you could walk around it relatively quickly. But a lot of it also depends on what you find. If you find a broken swing, then I've got to go find a swing. I've got to get the parts I need. The way we typically do it is I'll do the playground inspection. I will mark down any potential hazards. If it's an immediate hazard, we stop there. We don't do anything else until that hazard is blocked, caution taped off, taken care of. If it's a smaller thing that's not really a safety hazard, we'll mark it on our inspection, schedule the repair, come back and do the repair.
Okay,
So,
cool. Oh, that's awesome. So let's transition a little bit. I've been with the city since 2016, so a little over 8 years, going on 9. Of course, you've been with the city much longer than that, and you've been able to
18 years.
18 years.
18 years.
Pretty much double
I know.
what I've been with the city.
double skilled as you.
That's right. I don't doubt that one
Double
bit.
experience.
I do not doubt that one bit. We've both been able to be a part of some pretty cool projects related to play and playgrounds here during our time. So are there any that stand out to you that you've gotten to be a part of seeing come to life here in our community?
For sure. So I've seen parks change a ton in 18 years in different ways. And there's 2 playgrounds that come to my mind as projects that just are super exciting for me. The first one is Lampkin Park. So when I started in 2006, that's where I was mainly based out of as a part-timer at Lampkin Park. And to put it in a nice way, it was a tired park. It was just tired. The bathrooms were tired. The roads were tired. The baseball fields were tired. The playground was tired. And that playground was kind of like the springboard, in my opinion, for Lampkin Park. Since then, I mean, you got to think about it. It has a beautiful playground now. It's got some awesome features. The gravity rail. It has rock natural features that have nets between them. It's a beautiful playground.
Big rope climbers.
Big rope climber. Then you think like, hey, we built new bathrooms at Lampkin Park. Then we built limestone springs, the water feature at Lampkin Park. Then they came in and did the greenway trails through Lampkin Park.
Sure.
Then they repaved the roads in Lampkin Park, and we built a turf field at Lampkin Park. So for me, that was such a fun one to watch because it was literally a springboard from Lampkin Park being a tired park to Lampkin Park being just bustling with activity.
What it is now.
I mean, it is, if you've been to the turf field, it is packed.
All the time.
From 8 in the morning.
Yeah.
I mean, they're waiting on us to unlock the gate at the turf field. 8 in the morning. The baseball fields have got some cool renovations coming. We just got a CIP the other day for new scoreboards all through Lampkin Park, original scoreboards. So you have a playground that springboard an entire park into being something just so much more. And
That's
that
awesome.
was a super exciting project to watch come to
All
fruition.
started with the playground.
All started with the playground.
I love
Yep.
That's cool. What's another project?
I would say the second one would be Covington Woods.
Okay.
So Covington Woods was the first which you're huge into accessibility,
Yep.
inclusive. So I went to Western. I took some inclusive classes, inclusive recreation, but that's kind of it for me as far as that. I know
Sure.
how important it is. But you have a lot more background in that. So I know you were involved at a level with Covington Woods, but I remember Covington Woods was the first one that we did where we were like, hey, accessibility and inclusion in this playground is going to be like one of the main things.
It's got to be a key piece.
It's a key piece.
Yeah.
And background on this, you may not know this, but that playground partially came from the playground at Holiday World. Have you been to Holiday World?
Yeah.
So,
I did not know this.
Right. So I took a trip to Holiday World, and it's a PIP surface, which is pour in place.
Right.
Right. Which is becoming way more popular
And
these
for
days.
those out there who don't know what that is, that's that crumb rubber surfacing
Right.
that you really start to see that creates accessibility. So
Much easier for wheelchairs.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yep.
So mulch is considered by CPSI an accessible surface. We're both kind of shaking our heads a little. It
Yeah.
is. It's possible, right?
Sure.
It is possible, but it's tough.
it's difficult. Yeah.
So our
for the
job,
user.
right? Our job is to do anything possible to reduce those barriers.
Yeah.
Anyway, I went to Holiday World, and I remember seeing the pour-in place. That's one of the first pour-in places I had seen. What I noticed about it was the entries were wheelchair accessible, and you could enter from one side and traverse and move through the entire playground on a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And I remember just thinking, like, oh my goodness, like we don't have anything like this.
Sure.
So I remember coming back to Brent Belcher, Parks Director, and being like, listen, we've got to figure out a way that somebody can get on a playground, move around, traverse it with a wheelchair. That was like step one
Yeah.
of playgrounds. Like, I think we're going to talk about another playground here in a second, but we've kind of went beyond that now.
Covington Woods it's neat in the way it's designed because it's kind of like that middle ground when I think about accessibility and I think about inclusive play. Because the full playground, when we take the whole square footage of it, every aspect of that playground is not accessible, right?
Right.
You know, there are certain features, that an individual with a various disability may not be able to get to. But it was our community's first opportunity to allow people with disabilities to experience play in one of our parks. And you were able to do that by using the sidewalk, right?
Right.
The sidewalk is kind of like the starting point for that accessibility, and then everything kind of builds off that. So when you enter that playground, you've got the ramp structure like you're talking about running up to the sidewalk so that it's accessible. You've got the sway fun that the ramp for it runs straight up to the sidewalk. So that sidewalk is kind of like the gatekeeper, if you will, to accessibility. But it's still kind of the middle ground, right?
That's
Because-
also where we did our first pour in place on a very small scale.
That's right. Little pieces of it that
Right.
create that accessibility. Again,
So a little-
off the sidewalk.
Right, so a little area to the music area.
That's right, yep.
And then also on the opposite side, an area to the swing.
And that's kind of where, with Covington Woods is a great example where I've had the opportunity to teach the inclusive rec class on campus since 2018. And, one of the things I talk most about is universal design, right? And Covington Woods is a great example of an accessible playground, but we're missing that piece of universally being designed in a universal way where you've got equitable play, right? So there's still kind of this separation at some point of people with and without disabilities because there's not aspects fully where everybody's integrated, right? Everybody's playing together in the same spaces in every way possible. But it was a great first step for our community.
I think, I've been in playgrounds for 12 years. I think you've seen that, like, change on what inclusive means.
Sure.
So it's like, I remember early on, it was like, okay, inclusive means over here in the corner, like you said, a sidewalk, which is already there, you put something that a wheelchair could pull up on, and then that's inclusive because they have their area.
Sure, exactly.
Now inclusive means everybody together. So
Yeah.
how do we get everything to be in some way inclusive? Now, not every single item has to be able to be used by every single person in every single way.
That's right.
Right? A ladder or something, may not be able to be used by it, but can we get them close to the ladder? Can we get a play panel right beside the ladder? Can we get the flow of kids where they're inclusively playing and recreating together. And I think that's the big. Now Covington's a great playground,
Absolutely.
and luckily the mulch transitions are very flat, so it is ADA in the level that they can traverse around better than most playgrounds. I think you'll probably roll into our big playground that we did that you had a ton to do with here.
Like I said, Covington Woods is kind of like the middle ground, but it was in many ways. You talked about the playground at Lampkin Park being the springboard for developing that park as a whole even
Right.
more. Covington Woods was kind of the springboard for our project at Roland Bland. So obviously in the spring of 2021, Roland Bland brought to life with a brand new playground. And from the very beginning, our director, Brent Belcher, started his career in special populations. And, I think it was a goal of his entire career to try to bring a fully accessible and inclusive playground to our community. And being able to accomplish that, we don't want to discredit what Covington Woods offers, because obviously it offers something so unique and special that gives everyone in our community the opportunity to play. But we knew we had to take it to the next level, right? We had to find a way to, take that next step and bring fully accessible and inclusive play to our community, and Roland Bland was that. Yeah, the process for getting Roland Bland going, a group of us, sit in a room and start to discuss at the very base level, what are some aspects we want in this playground? And so I can remember the very first meeting that we had for Roland Bland down at Parks and Rec. If anybody that's listening remembers the old topography, I guess, of Roland Bland, it was like levels, right? You start up towards, where the main playground is, where the shelter was, and you would go down a little hill onto a volleyball court, sand volleyball.
Kind of a volleyball.
Yeah, it used to be. It was deteriorating.
A sand area.
Yeah, that's right. And then you'd go down another hill into the
Right.
tennis court. So you had these levels, different heights and different zones of that space. The common thought with accessible play is, let's level everything, make it all flat, and then put a ramp structure. And that's great. If we were to do that, it would have been wonderful. But we really tried to get creative and think about the ways that we could use that different elevation to create the accessible play. So use the natural hills and run a ramp into it, so you could start at the bottom of the hill, go into the ramp structure, and come out further up the hill. And so it was a really unique project to bring to life and, bring the first fully accessible and inclusive playground to our community that I think has become hopefully a new standard for what we want to try to do with playgrounds moving forward. So what stood out to you about the Roland Bland project during that whole process?
I can't help but think how you have a level of imagination that serves parks in ways that citizens of Bowling Green should be thankful for. You are just constantly thinking of different ways to do recreation activities, programming, facilities.
I appreciate that.
We have a playground on a hill. How the heck are we going to build a playground on a hill, especially wheelchairs, right?
Sure.
Like, how do we do this? So if we go back, Cameron and I get along great, but we knock ideas off each other constantly. Well, I'm the CPSI guy. So I'm the guy who has these binders full of, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this, you have to have this angle and this measurement. And Cameron's the imaginator, so he's like, let's build this daggum thing on a hill. So there was this constant back and forth in a good way. It was working together to try to figure out, how do we make it safe from the CPSI side, and how do we make something unique, and how do we use this area that it needs to be here. Like, that's where it needed to be.
Yeah.
I mean, with your special programming, you have special pops based out of those two facilities.
Sure.
Like, this is a no-brainer. We need an inclusive playground here. So one option is you tear down the old playground that's on a little bit more level surface. And it's like, why tear that down? Why not incorporate, make it more inclusive, bring them together? So we literally merge them. So, my background's a maintenance background too. So I have to think, like, how are we going to merge mulch to pour in place rubber? How are we going to put sidewalks? How are we going to put fencing? So from a maintenance side, those things were considerations. But we were able to kind of work with the playground manufacturer and do things that made the hills safe,
Sure.
right? So there's some areas I think of that when we put the playground in, when you come off a ramp, it's kind of close to a little bit of a slope. So we said, how can we do something that pushes the direction of traffic around if somebody's in a wheelchair. So when they come off this ramp, it's not like whoop, right off to the side.
Yeah.
So we put extended barriers on the ends of the ramps at an angle that when you come around that barrier, you are now at a level area enough where you can move around.
Yeah, and it kind of forces you into that main path.
Right,
yeah.
right. That was awesome for me. Watching the Pour in Place come was great. You know, I knew other communities had done it. Obviously, a big expenditure, which we had some help with some grants. I think the rubber was from a certain grant that we had gotten.
Yeah, it was like a Kentucky Waste Management grant.
Right.
Makes a lot of those playgrounds possible across the state, which is fantastic.
Right, and then part of the playground was also donated. Is that?
Yeah. So United Way and PNC were able to sponsor the Live and Learn Play Village there at the bottom, where you see the little houses that are
Right.
like a little farmer's market or the fire station and things like that. That was all through PNC donated money, and that's where we try to get creative with how we bring these projects to life. They are ever more, as we continue throughout the years, getting bigger and bigger price tags for making these things possible. And that's an industry conversation when we think about the crumb rubber and the pour in place surfacing. We have conversations with playground companies just trying to level the playing field in terms of making those playgrounds more accessible from a purchasing standpoint, from a department standpoint. Because if that surfacing is one of the tickets to inclusive play and accessible play, we've got to find a way to make it more feasible for communities to implement. But then that just helps us go back to the drawing board too and getting creative. If we can't get the surfacing, we can find other ways to create accessible play. So constantly hitting the drawing board. I think it's definitely a goal within our department to ensure that all of our play opportunities and all of our playgrounds at some point and at some level have accessible and inclusive play features.
Right.
Tim mentioned the location of Roland Bland, how critical it is with the proximity to our adaptive recreation division that used to be Special Pops, but not even just that, but it's our community centers. Parker Bennett is a short drive away, and Moxley's adjacent to it. What's so strategic about Roland Bland and accessible and inclusive play being right there is we get to see play, be the catalyst that it is to bring kids together. Kids with and without disabilities playing on a playground, there is no single greater way to overcome differences than the universal language of a smile. And when you're sitting on a merry-go-round, and might be a child that has a disability, and I'm sitting across from Tim who may not have a disability, and I'm looking at you and I see you enjoying the same thing that I am, that is when we really start to overcome these societal barriers that keep us separated because of the differences that we have. But when we all play together, all that goes out the door. So that location, we really get to see that happen on a daily basis at Roland Bland, and that is a huge motivation, I think, for us as a department to make sure that we're doing that in other corners of our community.
Well, you kind of go back to the narrative of springboarding a park with Lampkin Park.
Sure.
And then you go to Roland Bland and say, hey, we built this beautiful playground. And a lot of times when you build a playground and it's beautiful, as a parks employee, you kind of like step back a little bit and you look around, and that's exactly what we did. And we said, hey, these bathrooms, they need to be refreshed. So paint, floors, everything, toilets, cleaning bathrooms. And then the tennis court, I'm a tennis guy. I struggle with this one. Me and Brent had some conversations on this one. I hate to lose that tennis court downtown, but I will say it was one of the least used tennis courts. It's just not used a ton. Covington, Carriacus, some of these other facilities are used more, but it's just super cool to see how that park springboarded that whole little area. So now we have pickleball has taken over that area. We got all the new pickleball courts that are kind of like the turf field at Lampkin. I mean, goodness gracious, you go there at 8 a.m. and it is packed, and into the evenings. And maybe there's a need for more pickleball courts there. Maybe there's a need for more expansion and more things there. So it's a cool narrative to see how a lot of times with a park, a playground will be the first big thing, and then it's like, man, everybody gets excited and like, hey, what if we add new sidewalks? And I go back to Lampkin. I think of that one. I know, there's talks with a disc golf course at Lampkin to go around the outside of Lampkin. So you think about where Lampkin has come in the last 18 years, which that's my time frame because that's where I've worked here. But golly, Lampkin's a place that is just, I love the transition because I remember the day when I called Brent and I said, I'm taking my whole family to Lampkin Park. I'd worked here probably 8-10 years. And I said, I'm taking my entire family. We're going to spend the entire day at Lampkin Park. And a lot of that's just because it had transformed so much into such a beautiful park that's like now from being a tired park where you could pick other, the Kariakis was the one you would typically go to,
Sure.
right? And it's Lampkin Park, it's Roland Bland Park, and it's like, hey, we're going to keep Kariakis nice,
Sure.
and we're going to keep Lover's Lane nice, and we're going to keep Preston Miller nice. But that's just exciting. And I know, like with the city, kind of going back to CPSI, the way we replace playgrounds, we tend to replace them for a couple different reasons. One is they're getting old, right? So a playground can usually get 20 years. You could push it to 25. So we're in the process of kind of working through different playgrounds, kind of assessing which ones need to be replaced. So that's our number one thing. So we have a few coming up. Everything we've talked about is going to be included. Inclusive play, surfacing is going to be a big thing. You talked about pour in place. We're also, one of the big things is turf, like on playgrounds. That's a new thing.
Definitely an alternative
to
the PIP surfacing.
Anything that makes accessibility easier. And turf's something we're probably going to play with maybe on a new playground, but I keep thinking back. I know one of the questions we had talked about before this was kind of how we pick playgrounds. And I feel like we should talk a little bit about the last one we did where there's an evaluative process, right? Essentially, we evaluate based on the different things we need, based on the size, based on the community. Community is a huge one.
Yeah.
Based on, do we have young kids here? Do we have old kids? Do we have college kids? What do we need to put in this area to serve the community best?
Sure.
And one of the last things we did on one of our last playgrounds, I know you were involved in this, Cameron, was we laid out all of the plans in a boardroom, right? You remember this?
Yeah.
Laid out every plan. So when you get a new playground idea, essentially companies will give you a big picture of their playground, beautiful color picture. So we laid them all out. And one of the parts of our evaluation stage was to bring in kids from that neighborhood and give them a rating system and let them go around and pick which one they wanted the most and which thing on each playground picture stood out to them. I think that's just a huge part of, like you talk about, being part of the community we serve, right? So it's not just me and you deciding what playground needs to go to a certain area.
Now, granted, I do love playgrounds. I feel like we could come up with some good ones,
and I have to constantly pull Cameron. This is not your playground. I have to pull you.
That is true.
I have to pull you back off.
We got to get that community input,
right?
And that makes our job so much fun because often we think like kids. Right. Honestly, we think from a kid mindset because we do have so much fun with our job. So, bringing in the kids and bringing in the community and letting them influence what we're doing with our playground projects or facility projects or programs is so important because, ultimately we say all the time that parks build community, but flip that around, right? The community builds our parks. We are here to serve the community and including them in the process of dreaming with us and designing with us and imagining with us just makes the job so much more enjoyable.
For sure.
And is so critical, to the process of creating these parks. And I just, again, we're so passionate about bringing these playgrounds to life. There's a common group text that goes on. Tim will be out of town with his family visiting a playground in South Carolina or Georgia or at Disney World, wherever it may be. And we're sending a picture and being like, man, how could we implement something like this? Back in Bowling Green, back in Warren County. My kids are loving this. I'm loving this. And so that group text just kind of keeps us fresh with the job, right? It keeps us excited about what we're doing. Tim has alluded to it during our time today on the podcast, and I'll just reiterate it. The playground is the heart of any park. That is where things start. That is where, again, your youngest kids to your oldest kids learn what it means to play, learn what it means to, overcome fears as far as climbing to the very top of the tower, even though you're a little scared looking at it from the bottom, doing the monkey bars and overcoming that physical challenge or crossing the bridge that seems daunting. The playground is the heart of any park. And that is where core memories start when you visit a park. And I can remember as a young kid going to state conferences for Parks and Recreation, and my favorite thing to do was to get the catalogs from the playground companies. And I would just sit there and look at this slide, look at this platform, look at this structure. I would love to visit something like this. So the playground is truly where my love for Parks and Recreation started, and it's where it continues, right? Sure. It's where we all kind of connect back to that inner child that we have, and I think it makes us better as professionals in the ways that we serve our community.
Right.
So
we don't typically know when each other are on vacation unless we get a text from South Carolina, a picture of a playground. And I think it's cool, like how we can work together, just all of us who are involved in the process, from different aspects, right? So
Sure.
I'm like, my number one is from more of a maintenance side of things,
Sure.
right? So I may be looking at drainage on a playground in South Carolina, and then I'm in Florida looking at how this new style of climber has been made, right? And is this safe? And I know you'll look at pictures and you'll be like, oh my gosh, how do we implement these colors, and how do we implement this style to fit this playground or this specific user group?
Yeah.
So it's just cool how we can. I've always enjoyed working with you because your imagination and just all of our ability to kind of work together to try to serve the community best. And that's what we can't forget is like,
No doubt.
it's not about us, it's about the community. And we kind of touched on it earlier, but some things we'll see and we'll be like, oh man, I'm 38 years old. I don't need to be excited for myself to play on this new playground, but we need to figure out what kids in this community and how they'll enjoy it and how it'll be inclusive and how it'll represent our citizens the best.
And you have kids. Luckily, I have a son now, so my
Yes.
visits to the playground are no longer going to get on my wife's nerves
There you go.
when we're on vacation because we have a reason to go.
So you're going to start at Roland Bland, right?
That's right,
Because
yeah.
that is the only actually kind of preschool-ish playground on the bottom side of that
Yeah,
that we currently
yeah.
have. Preschool playgrounds are not super popular in cities for different reasons. Mainly the private sector kind of handles the preschool size playgrounds, but that is the first preschool to 2 area that we have. So you will be at Roland Bland
All the
playing
time.
on the little restaurant and the
Yeah,
little
farmer's market,
farmer's
sheriff's
market
office.
and
Yep.
sheriff's office. Yeah, you know,
I love it. That's awesome.
develop your child there. So.
We've enjoyed chopping it up on playgrounds today on the podcast. It's been a fun conversation. If you can't tell, we're very passionate about play, very passionate about making, our Parks and Recreation Department here at the City of Bowling Green one of the best in the state, one of the best in the region, and one of the best in the country. We love what we do, and we hope you enjoy spending time with us in our parks and in our programs and at our facilities. So just to tease a few of the projects coming up as we're talking about playgrounds in this budget year, Parker Bennett Community Center is getting a little update to their playground that we're really excited about.
Right.
And then Reservoir Hill, up on the top of the hill past the Neighborhood and Community Services building there on Hospital Hill, is getting a little update. That'll be a fun project. We have some very targeted and specific goals as far as theming and look and feel go with the playground at Reservoir Hill. So 2 exciting projects, Tim. Just continue to set the stage each year for us to continue updating our playgrounds and the play opportunities here in our community.
For sure, yeah. We were just talking a second ago. We've actually got a meeting here in a couple hours about both these playgrounds. Both of them, approved in CIP, but still trying to kind of find the direction.
Yeah.
Talked about different styles of playgrounds, and as playgrounds kind of develop through the years, we're starting to see things that are changing, right? So like 20 years ago, you had wood playgrounds, right?
That's
Everywhere.
right.
There's a
Yep.
reason we don't have wood playgrounds. There's safety issues. There's wasps. There's all kinds of
Sure.
deterioration. Then kind of the past probably 10, 15 years, metal structure playgrounds are huge. So 4-post structures. We're going to build a structure, and that's the playground, right? So now you're starting to see like a change again. So we're still doing structures because it's kind of the hub, like the anchor of the
Yep.
playground. But
Yep.
you're starting to see different things. You're starting to see ropes and moving items and things that you can kind of traverse, natural features. I think you're going to see some cool stuff like that in
think
some
so,
of
too.
these playgrounds.
We've had some cool conversations at the community center last week with some of the kiddos in after school getting to give us their thoughts, on what they want to see in the playgrounds and all those things. And that's been really neat just to see their excitement and see the smiles on their face to know that they're going to have a new place to play come next summer.
Well, I think about Parker Bennett, and I think about, we've talked over and over about serving the community you're in. And that's one that we had some input, to be honest, from people who said, hey, we need more inclusive things
Sure.
at this playground. We're
right.
having trouble traversing it in certain ways. And that went to the top of our list. Like, we want to listen to the people we're serving.
Yep.
And, the goal is with the Parker Bennett one to add some inclusive areas, some
right.
either pour in place or some turf or something new and exciting. I do kind of envision the Reservoir Hill one maybe going in a different direction than just a traditional structure.
Sure.
So, as we move through the planning and as we get kids involved and they have opinions and ideas, we're going to listen to them and we're going to follow the direction of the people we serve.
That's right. No doubt. Very exciting times here at the City of Bowling Green with our Parks and Recreation Department and all the play that we try to provide the community for you all to enjoy. This episode, there's going to be a little bit of a second part to it that we're really excited about. We're going to have some kiddos from our Moxley Community Center and Parker Bennett Community Center joining us later on the show to talk playgrounds. We're going to get their thought on what their ideal playground looks like. And let me just tell you that there is no limit to our imagination. And that kind of conversation and what we like to call the dream phase, we don't talk budget because that's just no fun. And we don't talk any sort of limitations to height. We'll get to the safety part later.
I was about to say, just say it. Just say it, Cam.
We'll just eliminate the safety part, and then we'll kind of rein it down.
This is the point you kick me out the door.
That's
and
right.
say,
And we bring the kids in.
Let's do some dreaming here.
That's right. And you know, one reason that we do that is ultimately in the dream phase, if we don't eliminate these barriers to our imagination in the dream phase, then we may never think of some of our greatest ideas. So in the dream phase, we think big, we think $5 million playground, and then when we only get $500,000, we'll rein it in.
Right.
But we can potentially bring a $5 million idea into a $500,000 playground. So when we're dreaming, we dream big, we have fun with it, and then ultimately that helps us bring a really cool project to the community.
And that's how you get Rolling Blands of the world. That's how you get
That's how we
places.
get really cool play here in Bowling Green. So very excited for part 2 of this interview. Thank you to everyone for listening to today's episode of the Talk BGKY podcast, the official podcast of the City of Bowling Green. Tim, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for
It's been
having
a blast.
me. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. We'll see you guys at the park. All right, so we are back. We took a little bit of a break from our conversation with me and Tim about playgrounds and playground safety, and we found some kids roaming the halls here at City Hall and decided to have a little bit of fun with this episode. We're talking playgrounds, we're talking play, we're having a great time doing it. We're going to dream a little bit. So here with the Talk BGKY podcast, we're going to dream about what our perfect playground could look like. All right, that's what we like to do as professionals, but obviously, as we've mentioned, we like to try to channel our inner child when we do that. So what better way to have a conversation about what the perfect playground would look like than with some of our kiddos from our programs down at the Moxley Community Center. All right, so guys, how about I'm going to point to you guys and let you introduce yourselves really quick. All right, so let's start over here on the left.
Hello, my name is Kingston, and I'm from Potter Gray, and I'm in the 4th grade.
Awesome, Kingston. Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
All right, who's next?
My name is Bodie. I am from TC Cherry. I'm 9, and I am in 4th grade.
Awesome. All right, last but not least, go ahead and lean up to the mic for us.
My name is Drake. I go to TC Cherry, and I'm in 2nd grade.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you for joining us today. We're excited that you're a part of our podcast episode here. So tell me this, do you guys enjoy playing on the playground?
A lot of times, because kids like to play on the playground when they get bored.
No
They
doubt.
might invite their friends.
Sure.
They might play hide and seek.
Yeah.
And we just like to play on the playground a lot to
Awesome.
entertain us sometimes.
That's awesome. I love it. What about you, Bodie?
I like playgrounds because a lot of times I can meet out with my friends, have some fun, and that's about all from me.
Yeah, I love it.
And nothing more.
Drake, what about you? Do you enjoy playing on the playground?
I enjoy playing in the playground because I like jumping off the swing with my friend.
I love it. So what's your all's favorite parts about a playground? Is it the slides? Is it the monkey bars? What is it?
My favorite, I was at this park. I forgot the name because it was like years ago.
Okay.
It had this like pirate ship, and my favorite part about it had this like when pirates like go down like the metal bar thingy.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I went down that. I was scared at first,
Uh-huh.
but when I tried it, that was fun.
You overcame your fear.
Yeah,
I love it, man.
and the swings was connected to the pirate ship. It was like the swing. It was very big, and that playground was popular. But
I can imagine.
yeah,
So I bet your imagination was running wild on that playground about being a pirate and flying over the 7 seas, all that kind of stuff, right?
I was
cool.
an actor in Sky Pact.
You were an actor in Sky Pack?
Yeah.
No way. That's awesome.
It
Give
was
me your best pirate voice.
Cha-la-la.
I love it. A little bit of an arg. There we go. I love it. All right, Bodie, what about you? What's your favorite part of a playground?
So I went to this one playground. So we had these campers. It's one of those where camper playgrounds where you put your camper there and there's a playground. I love sailing. I like a dream of sailing. So this one, it was like one of the Ark but smaller.
Mm-hmm.
I really like playing on it. I think it was super fun. It's just, it was kind of in bad condition. There was no swings, but you could go inside of it, and there was
cool.
like fake barrels inside of it. It was really cool. It kind of looked like a shipwreck because it wasn't in great condition. But I think it was still really fun. Me and my friends.
So it was unintentionally a shipwreck because it needed to be cleaned a little bit.
Yes.
Okay, I got you.
Me and my friends I met did the iconic scene from the Titanic.
Did you really?
Yes.
You stood on the boat and sang the song and everything?
No, I
Oh,
just did
okay,
this.
I love it. That's awesome. All right, Drake, what's your favorite part of a playground? What do you enjoy doing the most on a playground? And tell me, do you have a favorite playground here in town that you go to?
Not exactly.
No? Well, what's your favorite part? Do you like to be on the slides, monkey bars, the merry-go-rounds, swings?
Does it also count as like a trampoline park?
Sure. Yeah, why not?
I like the foam pit.
The foam pit? That's cool. Yeah. That's awesome, man. I love it. Do you guys have a favorite park that you go to here in town?
Karyakis. I think Karyakis is really fun. It's just, I don't think it's my favorite because this one school has a park that's huge. It has everything. And it's actually one of those like school parks where you're allowed to go in it on the weekends and stuff. So
Oh,
like
cool.
when school's out, you can go to their playground. It's super fun. My house is so close I could easily walk or bike over there.
Nice.
A lot of times me and my friends meet up there. But Karyakis I really like, but it is by a humongous graveyard.
Wow. That's awesome. Kingston, you look like you've got a park. You're ready.
I agree with Bodie. I like Karyakis, and I like my school park. We got a kindergarten, first and second grade playground.
Mhm.
There are like 3 sets. That's the first one. And then we got this mini playground. It's green and blue. It has monkey bars. It's basically parkour. And then the last one is the 4th and 5th grade. That's where I go. And it has a humongous playground. It's been upgraded, but
Nice.
the upgrade has blue and green like the mini one.
Okay.
It has parkour. It has a zip next to it. If there's like too many like people, because the 4th and 5th grade park is like very popular.
Sure.
People have been saying it at my school, so they upgraded it, and now it's like very, very popular.
That's awesome. I think that
And-
sounds amazing.
Pirate playground in my school. We have like Bodie said, like we have barrels. We got that. We have the swing and everything. Cause
So
mostly,
it's real themed.
Yes.
That's
real
very cool.
themed.
I love it. Well, you guys sound like, true playground connoisseurs. All right, you guys seem to love play. I can see the wheels turning, the imagination's going, right? So I think what we're going to do next is we're going to transition and we're going to talk about our perfect playgrounds, okay? We're going to dream about what our perfect playground and what our perfect park would look like, okay? So I want you to just turn your imaginations on for me. Make sure they're on, make sure they're ready to go, all right? And we're going to dream a little bit. I have some rules, though, all right? We do have some rules in what we call the dream phase. The first rule is there is no budget, all right?
Oh.
Yep, no budget. Isn't that great? I wish that was the case for us all the time. So there's no budget, so no limit on your imagination, okay? So don't worry about money. We're not going to worry about what this would cost. And then the second thing is you got to name your playground, right? Your playground has to have a name. So those are some of the biggest important rules. So I want you guys to just think for a second, dream a little bit about what your perfect playground would look like, all right? And then whoever wants to go first and start to talk us through their vision for the perfect playground, you can go to the mic.
So guys, whoever has like the first playground that they're dreaming of has to go first.
That's right.
You already have it?
Yeah, I know.
All right.
I've been planning it this entire time. So,
Bodie's been dreaming about this for a long time.
no, it's just when she.
Maybe the last 10 minutes.
Yes. So So I heard that this was like could actually. I'm gonna make this actually possible, but I'm not gonna worry about the money part. So
That's good. Yeah, we don't need to worry about
I
the
was
money.
thinking, so about the ship one. I was thinking, has there ever been a shipwreck one? So I was thinking maybe you could have one of those boats, but you have it split in half. So, and then there's railings on the split in half so no one falls. And then, like,
Safety. I like
yeah.
that. Thank you.
So, there's slides coming off of it, some swings, and the masts, the part that are really high, that shows the sails. I think you could climb up it onto, like, the, what they call the crow's nest thing. I think that would be
That's
super
pretty cool.
And surrounding it could be like some barrels, and there's like a full interior of the boat. And my name for it is, what's that one thing from Pirates of the Caribbean, like Davy Jones thing?
Great question. I don't know that I've ever actually seen the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. I know that's not
They're
good.
really,
but-
you should see them.
The Flying Dutchman.
Yeah, the Flying Dutchman.
So it's the Flying Dutchman playground.
Yes.
Bodie, you've got my wheels turning on what this playground could look like. This is incredible. Do you know where I think that would be a great place to put this playground?
There's so many spots on Kariakis that are just open land. Like
Can I give you my suggestion?
Yeah.
I think this sounds like let's take your idea of a shipwreck, pirates, right? All that kind of stuff. We're probably near the ocean with a shipwreck, right? What if we put it at like the water park at Russell Sims,
I like that idea.
and then we can make it like a splash pad?
Yeah, it's just I don't. But
Oh, maybe.
I feel like I was thinking maybe not like one story. I think not like a small ship. I was thinking like one of those bigger ones that's like 2 stories tall. Just
Love it. Let's
like,
go 3 stories.
I think 2 stories.
Okay, 2
So
stories.
just not like full stories. No, not like full stories. I'm just saying like half stories of 2. So it would
Okay,
just be
okay.
like a full story.
Okay.
So I was thinking, I don't like falling off that would hurt, especially
That's
because
true.
hashtags have concrete below them.
Yeah.
So, but I think
We can maybe change the surfacing. Do something a little different.
But if I do, I want like kind of like half of the bottom, half of the bottom of the boat. Like, you know, the first level, I think half of it should be filled with water if it was at a water park. So it would be like it's an actual shipwreck, and it's still kind of in the water.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Bodie, I can see the dream, man. That's incredible. I love it. I love it. Let's give a little small round of applause for Bodie's dream. I love it. Thank you, Bodie. That is incredible. The Flying Dutchman shipwreck playground / splash pad. Maybe to be at Russell Sims, maybe to be at Kariakis, maybe outside the water park at Preston Miller Park. So then it connects to the water park, right? That's where the Russell Sims Aquatic Center is in Preston Miller Park. So, yeah. So we got all kinds of options, don't we? I love it. All right, Kingston, it seems like you're ready to share your vision.
So
Walk us through this.
All right, so like step 1, like we gotta like make it like good, like, you know,
It's got to be good.
yeah, like
100%.
Bodie said, 3 stories, 4 stories, 5 stories, 10,000 stories, or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
We're
like-
going up.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think mine like Minion theme park, Despicable Me theme park.
Oh, okay.
I like
We're going Minions.
I like the Despicable Me 4 movie, the
Okay.
new one that just came out. I like it.
Oh,
in
I haven't
Florida.
seen that. Is it good?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
it's a very good movie.
Good enough to be a playground.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to
Sweet.
spoil it to anyone that hasn't seen it.
Yeah,
But I'm
don't.
just thinking about my playground.
Yeah.
So like, we should have like fake minions just standing out there, like outside of the playground, and like
Kind
it
of
said-
welcoming you.
Yeah, it's like, welcome to the Despicable Me playground of the world most famous playground in the world.
Nice. I
I
love
agree.
that.
I think it might.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people would enjoy that, Drake.
and
Yeah.
then
Yeah. Drake changed his mind.
so then it should be like 3 or 2 stories tall,
Nice.
and then we should like detail it like Gru, like just standing there with his like ray gun. like just like standing there like ah.
That's
know.
cool.
And then
So that's your theme, right?
yeah.
Awesome.
Minions. And then we should like have like some like it's like all dark in there, and then there's like spider webs because you know how Groove is. He's really scary. He's
Yeah.
really evil.
Yeah.
And then
So we're talking like some tunnels and stuff to create the
Yeah.
darkness.
and
Okay.
then at the end of it, we should have a really small tunnel at at there is some the aquarium at Atlanta. I went there before, and
Yeah.
it's a really small tunnel. And my mom, she was crazy about when we went through it. She was like, I can't make it. It's so small. And I like the tunnel, so I think I should put.
She was
that-
nervous.
Yeah, she
Oh, no.
she was nervous
Uh-oh.
that she might.
Mom
fit.
might not have wanted the world to know that,
I
but now they're going to know.
I know. Sorry, Mom.
I get it. My mom would have been the same. Everyone was the same.
So are we talking like, are we going aquarium with this playground?
So like
Like if the Minions made an aquarium.
yeah, you know you know that like Kevin.
Yeah, the little yellow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
with goggles.
You know Kevin. He like the Minions are kind of dumb. Like when Gru asks them a simple thing,
Yeah,
they get the wrong thing.
sure.
So then I'm gonna have like the Minions like creating like a big gigantic toilet. I get a big gigantic toilet.
Okay, so what I'm hearing,
Didn't they do that?
what I'm hearing is
No,
it's
they
a
didn't.
Minion playground with a ray gun, tunnels, and an aquarium, but then we have a big gigantic toilet.
Yeah.
So tell me this: is the toilet like a big spinny slide, kind of like you're
Yes.
being flushed down the toilet, and it's just a big slide going in circles?
Yes.
So what happened? Like, where do you go when you get to the
Oh.
bottom of the toilet
You go down to the basement. You know.
of the playground?
Yeah, you know how.
Wow!
Cause.
And you're just in a whole new world.
a whole new level.
No way! Is this playground underground?
Yes, it's like underground. It's like secret,
Man,
but you have to.
no budget though.
No budget.
That would be a lot of excavation, but
budget.
that's okay. We're not worrying about that right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No budget.
Not worrying about that.
So and then, cause in Gru's room in his closet, he has to pull a hanger, and then it drops him down to like a secret place where he like does all his like creepy stuff and all that.
Incredible.
And then we're gonna build that.
Kingston, I don't know if your imagination might be too good for the city of Bowling Green and Bowling Green Parks and Rec. I think Universal needs to give you a call.
I might put that at the Grand Canyon.
Help us out first though before you go work for Universal, okay?
know.
All right, thank you.
And then we're gonna have another spinning slide, and this is gonna take you nowhere. It's just a spinny slide.
Uh-huh.
It's like a water park. You know that at the splash park you have to like do that and it like drops you down.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
gonna do that.
What Kingston is referring to, for those who, there's no video here, but he's reminding everybody, we go feet first down the slides at Russell Sims, and we have to cross our arms across our chest. We do not go head first. Thank
Because
you.
if you do, I'm sorry, but you're stuck.
Against the rules, yes.
Please.
Thank you for that safety reminder. I
Do
appreciate
not
that.
do that at home.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's at the water park, a safety place. Do not do it at all.
No,
Since when were you a safety man?
I love it. Kingston, that's incredible.
You were never.
So
a
wait,
safety
so
man.
if we're down below now, we've gone underground on this playground. How are we getting back to the top?
There's gonna be a ladder.
Okay, sweet.
It's either gonna take you. So there's two ways. It's gonna stop you, and then there's going to be like a pad in front of you. It's gonna say, where do you want to go? You want to go back to the start,
Okay.
or do you want to go back? Or do you want to continue down and climb up back to Gru's underground world? And then you're gonna have to press a button, and then it's gonna take you down there. And
Did you just reveal to us the name of your playground?
Yeah.
Gru's Underground World.
Yes.
Amazing.
And then they're gonna take you down there, but
There's more?
Oh yeah, there's more.
Okay.
Oh
All right.
yeah.
Oh, there's more.
I've been planning this.
Long time.
Yes.
All right,
long-
let's hear it. Give me the quick hitters so we can get to Drake's playground. All right, give me one last thing. Tie a ribbon on Gru's Underground World playground here in Bowling Green.
It's gonna lead you to. So the latter part is gonna be all dark. There's gonna be a jump scare, and then when you get to the jump scare, you're gonna have to run to the ladder and climb the ladder fast.
Okay.
And if you continue, if you want to go back to Gru's Emperor World, it's gonna like look 3D. We're gonna have like 3D glasses,
you gotta put
like a
3D
movie,
glasses
and that's
on.
it.
Amazing. Everybody give it up for Kingston. What a vision.
Like I've been planning this since Miss Sonetta has been telling me. Like
Yeah.
when she first told me, I'm like, okay.
Since Friday. You've been
Yes.
thinking about it all weekend, haven't you? Incredible, Kingston. That's amazing. I love the imagination. So, Drake, it is now your turn
The
to
final-
tell us about your playground. All right. Tell us
I
about
have-
your playground, Drake.
I've been inspired by a lot of people, especially these two people.
And
What if I make a trampoline park?
inspired is what you meant, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool. Okay. Drake has been inspired. I love it. All right, tell me, Drake, how have you been inspired? That should make you all feel great. Drake has been inspired by your two's imagination. That's incredible, Drake.
I'm just dancing back here.
All right, Drake, tell us. Trampoline park.
Trampoline. There's gonna be a trampoline ship.
Interesting. Okay, I love it. Tell us more about that.
But you can't just like get in. You're gonna have to like
Of course not.
climb up the toilet slide. And then it's gonna send you in.
Okay, all right. Trampoline ship. All right, tell us about your vision.
Yeah, that's about it.
That's okay. How many trampolines are going to be on there?
Well, the whole entire thing's a trampoline.
Oh, it's just
And
one
set the
big
toilet.
trampoline.
And set the toilet.
Okay, well, yeah, there's always got to be a bathroom at the park, so that's good. I love it.
No,
So
like-
you're just gonna build.
No,
You're
the
gonna build a
toilet
big
that's,
ship.
And then there's like gonna be a toilet that leads into it.
Oh, okay. So that's how you get out of the ship.
No, that's how you get into it.
That's how you get in the ship. Okay. So we got a big old pirate ship that's a trampoline. I love it. I think that's incredible. I love it. You guys, is that your vision, Drake? What's the name of it?
Well,
jumping
that's not
pirate?
exactly it.
If it exists, I'm going.
Obviously Kentucky.
Obviously, I mean that's where we're at. Yeah, we're bringing these playgrounds to Bowling Green. All right, Drake, you want to name it?
You know what? I want to make one more thing.
All right, I love it. Add it to it.
You know how there's like this thing that like you can, that there's this thing and then there's like this ball on it and then you can push it and it rolls forward.
Yeah.
That's what I want to add.
Okay, that's awesome. I love it. So like a little track for you push a ball down it.
Like you're in the ball and then you like this.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Like the big clear ball
Oh,
that you sit in.
That'd be so fun. You got and then.
That is cool.
Okay,
We do have a safety and risk manager for the city, Safety Dave. He might not like that, but that's okay. We won't tell him.
Well, they already did it
Sorry,
before.
Mom.
That's true.
Sorry, Mom.
So-
Safety first. Again.
All right, Drake. Let's give it up for Drake's vision. I love it. Way to go, Drake. Beautiful. And he was inspired by you guys. Go ahead. Yep.
I want my park in either. Okay, I know this might be crazy, but either the Green Canyon or Japan or China.
Or Bowling Green.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have no idea why you said the grade. I'm gonna have to say Kentucky or Bowling Green because all three of us are talking right now are from Bowling Green.
That's true.
So if it is, we get to play on our own. This idea does go through. We're gonna get to play on our own parks that we've always wanted.
How cool would that be? To be able to see something you created come to life. Wouldn't that be neat?
Yeah.
I think so too. That's one reason I love working in Parks and Rec. I get to see that stuff all the time.
work at Parks and Rec?
I do. Yeah.
Since when?
Since 8 years ago.
like 8 years ago.
So I
I'm only
love
9.
that's something that me and Miss Shawnetta love about our jobs is we get to see our ideas come to life all the time. That's pretty cool. All right, so I want you guys to share one last thing with go ahead, Drake, and then I've got one last question for you guys, okay?
I want to make mine so I'm right next to the soccer field.
Oh, okay.
Right next to
At Lover's Lane?
Right next to
Literally right next to it.
like just right next to a soccer field.
Like not down the road from it.
Not like in the road.
No, not down the road from it, but literally like
Yeah,
right next to it.
yeah, like literally right.
Right there. Yeah.
Yeah, right there would be so
No, that would be cool.
close to there.
When I win a game, Mom, can we go to the playground that Jake built?
That's right. Yeah, that Drake built. The playground that Drake
I
built.
want to name it.
Oh, okay. What is it?
I'll name it Drake number 2.
Awesome. I love it, Drake. That's incredible. All right, so I want to ask you guys a question that we're going to finish with, and I want everybody to answer it. I appreciate you guys dreaming with us.
Yeah.
That was pretty fun. All right. But I want you guys to leave the listeners with a little bit of inspiration, okay? Leave the listeners with a little bit of, words of wisdom, okay? If you could tell the community one reason that they should visit the park, what would it be? Or one reason that they should love their local parks, what would it be?
So, I think they should go to it more often because Kariakis and the circus park are like the main ones that people go to. Because Kariakis is like the most popular park. And then I think they should go to our park because like people are try new things when they look how big it is,
Sure.
how fun it is,
Yeah.
like the theme of it, the creating. I think they should go to it because it looks so good. Whenever when someone gets food and it looks so juicy, tasty, yummy, fulfilling. Not no beans, not no macaroni and cheese, not no green beans. It just looks fulfilling and it looks good. Fulfilling, like Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, Taco Bell.
You know what? I see what you're trying to say. Let me explain it to the listener. I think what you're saying is, as fulfilling as your favorite meal is, you can also be fulfilled with memories that last a lifetime in the park. Mm-hmm. Amen.
Yes.
That's fantastic, Kingston. What an analogy. I've never heard it put that way, but you sold me. I think I get it. You've just changed my professional outlook on the importance of parks and recreation. Thank you for that. That was awesome.
So what's this about again?
So tell me, if you could tell the community, why do you feel like parks are important, and why is play important to a community?
Exercise, it can be really fun. It's a park. That's all. It's
Awesome.
a park. You should always go to a park.
Parks are good, right?
Yeah.
Being
It's a park.
outdoors.
It's a park.
The country.
Why are parks good?
It's a park.
The question.
That is Drake.
They're
Grab the
fun.
mic. So Drake, why are parks good? Why do you think they're good for a community?
So other people can see how to have happiness if they don't have happiness.
Drake, that was great, buddy. That was great. So other people can see how to find happiness if they don't have happiness, and they can find it at the park, can't they? I love that, Drake. Thank you. That's a great way to sign us off, buddy. Ending on a great note. I love it. All right, you three have been fantastic. Give yourselves a round of applause. I appreciate you guys joining us on this episode of the Talk BGKY podcast, the official podcast of the city of Bowling Green. It's been a fun episode. Talking playgrounds, talking parks, talking play, dreaming big. Never forget that the park is a place full of amazing possibilities and a place to make memories that last a lifetime. So we appreciate you joining us here on the Talk BGKY podcast. Until next time, I'm Cameron Levis, Recreation Division Manager with the City of Bowling Green, and it was a pleasure to be joined by
Kingston.
Me, the Bodie.
Drake Esselman.
Thank you guys. Until then, we'll see you at the park.
Bye, Mom.